Hello world, this is Code and After Effects Back to Basics. In this tutorial I want to talk about the date object and what it does. The date object is an instance that represents a single moment in time. And what you can do with the date object, you can get different dates and different times to display on the screen. And this is an example. I just got the current date, which is November the 4th, 2017. But you can do a lot more than that than just get the current date. You can get the past dates, you can animate through time, and we're going to go through a lot of this in this tutorial. My inspiration for doing this tutorial was based off of a question from a person on AE Enhancers. And the person asks, and I'll read off what they ask. I would like to create an animation where one frame is represented by one day and the date are displayed, but I have problems with the leap year calculation. I have two constant input values from two sliders, the starting year and the starting day of the year. These values are increment based on time divided by this comp dot frame duration, but I can't solve the problem of the different length of February and leap years. Do you have any idea? And I basically went about and answered the person question, and the person seemed to be okay with the answer that I gave them. And I'm basically just going to go over the answers and details in this video. If you look at the right, we're in the Mozilla Developer Network, and what the Mozilla Developer Network is it's a site that basically it's a reference site that go over front-end technologies like JavaScript. If we look at the section that I'm in the date object section, where it explains to you how the date object works and go into details on everything the date object does, what type of arguments to take in, and what methods you can use on there. And if I was to scroll all the way down to the part that says date prototype methods, we can kind of look at the methods that you can use with the date object. If I was going to After Effects right now and I was to type in new date 0 dot what method to use, get hours. You see over here we get 19, which is not 100% accurate, but if you look over here, the numbers start from 0 and it ends at 23. It should be 20 if you was to go off of regular real life time. 20 representing 8 o'clock is giving us 19, but we can just kind of overcome this by just adding 1 to the date object and it'll give us 20. But we can also get other things, like let's get the current month. And it's displaying 11, and yes, it is November as of today. So you can go through here and you can look at the different methods that they offer to you. But there is one thing you should know, is that all of these methods are not going to work. The majority of them is going to work, but there's a few that's not going to work. And the reason for this is because some of these methods are going based off of the new version of JavaScript. And by the time that expression was being made, it borrowed a lot of its language from an old version of JavaScript and never updated to some of the newer things that JavaScript is offering at the moment. You can try some of them out. Some of them are not going to work. For the most part, the majority of these methods should work. Now that we're back in After Effects, let's see what the date object can do by itself. So let's get rid of this and type in date with the argument of 0. And don't worry about 0 being the argument. The argument can be anything. It could be 0, it could be 100, it can be 5. It don't matter. It just needs some type of argument to go in there for it to work. And once you push enter, you get this huge text representing my current date. And it says Saturday, November 4th, 2017, 8:57 p.m. and the time zone is New York Pacific. Now this is correct, but this is a lot of noise. In most situations, you're probably not going to use this. So let's slim this down a little bit by using the substring method. And in here, we're going to put in our arguments of 0. And, well, I keep on putting J right there. And 15. Whoop. Forgot a dot. And with that, we get just Saturday, November 4th, 2017. And what the substring does is it allows us to select what text we wanted to be displayed by length. So by putting 0, we're saying start from the beginning, and I want this text to have a length of 15. But if I wanted to make this shorter and put 10, it's only going to show us Saturday, November 4th. But if I put in 20, it's going to show what it showed before, plus the hour and a little bit of the minutes. The minutes getting cut off, of course, but that's what substring is basically doing. It's giving us the ability to select what text we want to be displayed. So this is good and everything, but what if we want this all to be shown with just numbers instead of text? Well, we can do that also by creating variables that represent the month, the date, and the year. We're able to get a date that's just being represented by numbers. And I'm going to do that by typing in the variable day and having it equals new date. And I'm going to create another variable. I'm going to name it month. And I'm going to have that equal to new date also. And you might be asking yourself, what does this new word means? New is a keyword that basically saying copy date. This date is a copy of the date object, and this is a copy of a date object, but these are two different copies. So if I edit or if I do something to the day variable, it's not going to affect the month variable down here because these are two different copies, so they don't affect each other. And I'm going to do the same thing for year, have it equals new date, and at the last line I'm going to put in month, get month like we did before, and I'm going to do day, get day. Oops, I'm about to put date 0, and I forgot between here I want to put in a string, and I want it to be a /, and I'm going to copy that and at the end I'm going to put plus / again plus year dot get full year, and we should get this number, which is pretty close but no cigar. And I don't know why I put 0 right there, sorry. This is close, but it's off by a little bit. And I actually forgot to put UTC date, and that's giving us the exact date. But this year is way off. It's not 1969, and I'm pretty sure After Effects wasn't even created until the 90s. So what is up with this? We're getting this because of we need an argument for a date. And it's a little bit complicated, but since we're putting an argument of 0 or any type of argument into date, when we use full year, it's going to give us 1969. And if you was to use get UTC full year would have gave you 1970. But we can change this by going before that last line and put it in year dot set full year 2017 semicolon. You might be thinking to yourself, what is the point of even writing full year and setting your full year? Why don't I just write 2017 right here instead? And to those people who are thinking that, I will have to agree with you. There is no point in this situation to put full year down here. You might as well write 2017. This is just one of those things that in this situation, using full year doesn't help you in any way. There is a useful way of using full year, but in this situation, there isn't a point. You could just write 2017 is basically the same thing. So let's work on the animation part where the guy in the forum or the woman in the forum, the person wanted us to do. This person wanted us to animate the date and get a realistic time frame with the leap year and the months. So we're going to get that by first deleting all of this. And in our arguments, we're going to add two arguments. The first argument is going to be the year, which I'm putting in 2016, and I'm going to put in 1. And 1 is representing February. And this is optional, but there are more arguments that you could put in. You can actually add in a day for it. So this can be 2016 February 25th. But for the sake of this tutorial, we don't really need that. So if I was just to push enter from right here, okay, we get an error. That's because this is day. I'm just going to change it to date. Change that to date. Get rid of you. And now I need to get the year again. Get full year. So now we're getting January 1st, 2016. Not exactly what we wanted, but if I change this to if I add a parentheses to month, add 1 to it, that's going to add 1 to month. That's going to change that from that 1 to 2, representing February. And now we're going to change this from day to date. And we're going to set the date. But first, we're going to create a variable called timer. And timer is going to be equal to time divided by this comp. Frame duration. And you can look at a previous tutorial. I go over what frame duration does, but just to sum it up, what time divided by frame duration does is it allow us to get the frame count of wherever frame that we're at. Now that we got that, I'm going to put in date dot set date, and I'm going to put in timer. And once I push enter, it goes back into January 31st. And we can fix that. The only reason it's doing that is because we're at the 0 frame. So this is being counted as 0. So if I add 1, it's going to take us back into February the 1st. So if I scroll too far, and I'm just going control left on the arrow key, and you see in 2016 we get 29 for February. But if I scroll this all the way down to 2017 and go to February again and scroll down, you see once we hit 28 and push control on the right arrow key, we get to March the 1st. So this is accurate. 2017 was not a leap year, 2016 was. And if you go to any of the other months, it accurately give you if it's a month with 30 days in it or 31 days in it. This is accurate. And that's really it. This is what the person wanted, and this is how you can animate with date, and it'll also give you an accurate portrayal of real life times or real life dates. And as a bonus, if you wanted to use a string instead of using straight numbers for an argument, you can do that as well. And if I go to the beginning and if I comment this out, we get December 25th, 1995. And this is just to show you that you can use a string for the date argument and use it to get the date that you want. And that is basically it. The date object is a good thing to use, so you don't have to program each month to see how many days it take in. You don't have to calculate the leap year. And I hope you learned something from this tutorial. And if you did, subscribe, check out my other videos. Until the next time, peace out, world.